Well, welcome to American Dream University. This is Scott Conway, and today we are talking about Ohana. Now, we teach on Ohana at the American Dream University seminars. Today is going to be an application of Ohana talking about what it can look like when you have it. So, this is the power of resilient Ohana. Of course, the slide is Hawaii. Ohana is a Hawaiian word. And so we'll do just a super quick review, and then we're going to get into a bit of an autobiographical story here. So we teach the Ohana way as a culture to build into an organization. The Ohana culture means your customers see themselves as part of a family. So in the case of my martial arts school, they see themselves part of the dojo family, a part of the guardian family. Just like a lot of Apple product users see themselves as part of the Apple family or the Macintosh family. And as people get connected and they associate a portion of their identity to you, to your services, to your business, then that really plugs them in, because then they really see you as the go-to person, because it's not just a business. They're not just looking at it in terms of price, in terms of service, in terms of product. They're looking to you as part of who they see themselves as. And Ohana can also be that your employees see themselves as part of a family. That when I was growing up, my dad owned Conway British Imports, Conway Subaru Jaguar, Alcohol Mazda Jaguar, Conway Fiat, and the employees, there were up to 72 of them at one time, saw themselves as part of the Conway family. So they saw themselves as a Conway. And because they saw themselves as family, they were more intimately connected to the group and to each other than they would have been if they were just employees of the business. Ohana, of course, it's a Hawaiian word. If you've ever seen the movie Lilo and Stitch, if you've ever had kids and seen the movie Lilo and Stitch 18 times, you already know Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. And this idea of Ohana, that you're not just customers, you're not just co-workers, you're not the boss and the employees, your family, is a powerful concept. Now, there are sometimes problems with family because people say, well, you can't fire family. But on the other hand, you don't shortchange family. And so one of the things we'll talk about sometimes is what happens when you have to fire family. Well, you fire family using the 4P360 firing solution, because it says, well, I thought we were friends. I thought, what happened to family? It says, exactly. How come you're not producing the value you're supposed to be producing? Your family takes care of family in both ways. There's a deal here. And so this idea doesn't mean you can't fire people. It doesn't mean you can't get rid of customers. It doesn't mean you don't owe the value that people contract for. What it means is that you take care of people at a different level, because it's a whole person to a whole person. This comes out of the book, The Ohana Way. It also stands for an acronym, Ohana, O-H-A-N-A, Oasis, Harmony, Assertiveness, Nobility, and Aloha. The basic idea of Oasis is that it's a place people can go to go, I can relax here. I can drop my guard here. I don't have to be suspicious here. I don't have to really pay attention to, well, what do you really mean by that with an Oasis person? And then harmony, that I don't have to be the same to be able to be here. We don't have to be alike to get along. Assertiveness is moving forward, and there's always a forward. There's some idea of what it is we're trying to accomplish on purpose. So that, and the double meaning there is you're doing it intentionally, and that there's a purpose for the moving forward, and with respect for others. And when they know you're being assertive with them, you might be moving forward. You might even be trying to pitch them on something and sell them on something, but they know you would never try to sell them something that's not a good value. And you would never try to sell them something that's not going to take care of the need you say it will take care of. And then nobility, being our highest and best self, and aloha, the concept of love. When you have Ohana, what I'm talking about today is just some of how it might look. It's easy to talk about Ohana as an abstract concept. It's easy to say, here's a book, here's your outline, here's what it looks like, and this is the abstraction. These are what the letters stand for, and this is what the word means, and just go from there. But we're going to look at a recent real-world example of what happened with an Ohana culture in a business, specifically in my business. So this is the autobiographical part of the story. For years, I've been attending a martial arts convention in Las Vegas around the 4th of July. Back in the 90s, I used to teach at the martial arts convention. The big one was NATMA, the National Association of Professional Martial Artists. I was a member of the American Council on Martial Arts. That one was in Florida in the 90s. 2000 was the last time I taught for them. And they created a shift, and now they're a whole different kind of company. And the Martial Arts Industry Association took over a couple of years after that in Las Vegas. And I've been going to that one for years and taking people. And this year was, no different. Las Vegas 2000, well, let me change that, 2017. Started off as a fairly normal trip. I'm off to Las Vegas. I'm there overnight. I'm beginning to meet the people that I might normally meet and do some of the things I might normally do. Head into town, get checked in, stock up the condo, start going out sightseeing, head over to the Bellagio, go wander down, see what's new on the strip. Yeah, even headed off to go take in a show. Went to go see a show, American Trilogy. Then in that picture you see Neil Diamond, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis Presley. The Neil Diamond there is a gentleman named Rob Garrett. He's one of my Las Vegas friends. Um, Gary Anthony is Frank Sinatra, and he and I are also acquaintances. Justin Shander, who does Elvis, I don't really know him. I've just seen him. And the lovely lady there is my date. The other gentleman in the photo is David Tupaz. He is the top fashion designer in the city of Las Vegas and is the head of the Las Vegas Fashion Council there. And you see me there with a couple of beauty queens, and that's just one of the pictures with one set of beauty queens. And this is the kind of thing that I do when I'm in Las Vegas. That I head out, I see people, I go see sights, I go see shows. I connected with Rosanna Telford. She's a friend of mine and also a singer. Went to go see her perform. She's also a model for Bunker Bradley, who's another fashion guy. The gentleman, Antonio Fargas, that was a pretty cool bumping into him. If you remember the old Starsky and Hutch, and I think some of us are old enough to have watched Starsky and Hutch when it was on television back in the 70s, is Antonio Fargas' Huggy Bear. If you remember Huggy Bear, and a heck of a nice guy, too. The lady down below, she's Barbara Brighton. She does a Joan Rivers impersonation. She also is a singer, and she's also a comedian and a friend of mine that I usually try to connect with and go out with when I'm in Las Vegas. Going up to Top of the World for lunch, and this is me with a friend of mine, Master Rondi. She used to attend my seminars in the 90s. Now I attend her seminars, and that's her husband there. And then John Corcoran, not to be confused with the attorney. This guy is a uh, movie producer. It was when I first met him on the set of a movie that he was producing and I was working in. And he's also the executive editor for the Martial Arts Industry Association's magazine. And his parent company just bought Black Belt magazine. And so I was in a meeting with them over that. The gentleman down below is the president, CEO of Century Martial Arts. He's also a Jeet Kune Do master, and that's Paul Webb. And so this is my adventure. This particular photo that you see here with all of the ladies is from Las Vegas in 2015. And you'll note when you're looking at the screen, the second woman from the right, her name's Sarah. And you see Sarah there in her lovely dress and doing her poses from a photo shoot that Sarah did before. And so I'm in Las Vegas. I'm having my normal adventure. And this is what I do in Las Vegas. And then I get the call. And the call I get is about Sarah. And I get a contact from Sarah's sister. And I've never talked to Sarah's sister or anyone in Sarah's family. My dojo Ohana, my dojo family is reeling because Sarah is seen as one of us. And the call that I got is that I left town on Thursday in the morning. And we found out on Friday that Sarah killed herself. I talked to Sarah on Tuesday, and she was doing well. I talked to her on Wednesday. She was doing well. We made an appointment to get together on the 15th after I got back in town with kind of tentative plans that we've been talking about going to the donut bar, a local premium donut place, and getting some premium donuts. We tried to go there one time. I was her ride downtown to go run some errands, and we are going to pop in there, and they sold out when we were like 15 feet from that door. And we've been kind of joking with each other ever since that we're going to go back. And so we decided, okay, this is ridiculous. It's July. Let's make sure we do this in July. So we have plans. I'm going to see her probably at least 3 times. But then I find out on the first Friday I'm out of town that she's killed herself. And all of a sudden, my dojo Ohana is reeling from this, and some of them are looking to me. Her sister, her mother, people who have never talked to me, but they know that I talk to her. They know that she considers me part of her Ohana, and they're her actual family. So they feel they can come to me. My senior students, the people who were friends with her, they come to me. I'm still in Las Vegas, so I'm doing this online. I'm doing this by phone, and we're having these discussions. So I'm taking care of my Ohana. I'm taking care of my students that knew her. I'm taking care of people who are contacting me just out of the blue, saying, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I'm coaching people. I'm counseling people from Las Vegas. That I'm tapped to do the memorial for the group. And so on July 15th, the same day that I had an appointment with her, and she was going to come meet with me and we are going to go over some things together, instead, I'm doing her funeral. Her family contacts me because I was her last counselor. I was the last person that she had conversation with. I was the last person she talked to about serious stuff. And so they want to meet with me. They want me to come over. Mom's talking to me, sister's talking to me. And one of the key things showing up here is how my dojo Ohana is trusting me. That they're trusting me that Sarah's not just a student. She's not $100 a month to me. That they aren't just students. They're not just the tuition they pay. And even people who haven't trained with me for years, and some people who haven't trained with me at all, they've come to some events because some of their friends have trained with me, that they feel like they can get in touch with me too because they know I'm not just the karate teacher. I'm not just the role. It's not just a business. It's an Ohana. That the dojo is an oasis. The dojo is a place that you can come and it's okay to be different and you don't have to be alike to get along. That the dojo is a place where you can come to learn to be assertive, where people aren't going to be aggressive with you. That the dojo is a place of nobility, of being our highest and best selves. That the dojo is a place where we don't bicker. The dojo is a safe place where you don't have enemies. That you might have people who may not even like you, but they will be polite because it's dojo. And where there is genuine aloha. And they trust me. And the extended Aloha network also extends their trust to me in this uniquely critical time. And so we go through it together, and they lean on me. And this is one of the examples of being Ohana. That at the critical time when they needed something, they needed some kind of an input that's not just business. They needed some kind of an input that's person to person. That they knew they could come to me. They know that we have a philosophy of all of us are whole people. All of us have whole lives. And we connect with people as whole people with whole lives. That they connect with me as a whole person. They connect with me as having a whole life. They know that my life isn't just the dojo. That they're not surprised if they run into me someplace else. And that we talk about things besides just training. That this might be the thing we have in common. It might be where a lot of conversation takes place, but it's not just always business. And even with ADU, I mean, when Steve and I get together, and we've gotten together and we've gone to the zoo, we've talked about the safari park. Somehow we haven't managed to do safari park yet. But that's whole people. It's not just, well, it's business, and that's all we do is business. That's person to person, life to life. And that we really connect at a time like this. Now, one of the things you may know is this is me being Ohana to them. This is me showing up for them in their lives. And not everybody knows Sarah. Sarah would typically, she might show up later in the 5 o'clock class, and she would be here for the later adult classes. So the kids don't know Sarah. A lot of the families don't know Sarah. Just sometimes most of our adult students and our senior students know Sarah. And then I know when I get home, I'll be meeting with her family. I know the weekend after I get home, I'm going to be officiating her funeral. I'm dealing with a lot of this while I'm still in Las Vegas. I still have people to meet, and I still have sights to see, and I still have tickets to shows, and a lot of the people I meet with, they have no idea who she is. And this isn't something I'm going to take in and dump on them. And so I'm kind of like bifurcating things because I'm also Ohana with people in Las Vegas in a different way. And so as not to dump this on them, that I set this quietly aside. I go about my business there, and then I connect with my family in San Diego. Now I'm still out of town, as if that by itself wasn't a big enough story. If that by itself wasn't a demonstration of how I do Ohana, this out of town trip had some drama. So this is my dojo, the Guardian Academy of Martial Arts. This is our opening door. Both of those doors in the picture are entry doors. I've got my, if you could walk in back there, you would see on the left behind there is my pro shop. I've got my inventory there. Behind the other door in the other window is where you walk into the parent lounge over there. Off to the left even further is my kid lounge on the other side of a separation wall. So this is my dojo. This is where people come to train. People show up, they park, they walk in the door to the left there, and they show up for their classes. So the convention's over. I'm in Las Vegas for the martial arts convention. We've attended the convention. We had Jean-Paul DeJoria, who's the owner of Paul Mitchell and the owner of Patron Tequila. He was our keynote speaker. And I'm out and about at the end of the last day of seminars. I'm sightseeing. I check out the Venetian. I say, oh, they've got their light up gondolas on the outside. I go hang out at the Mirage and I watch their volcano show. I find there's this cool place at the Wynn Casino that if you go in, and if you've ever been there, they've got this gorgeous floral display. And off to the left, if you look outside the window, you see this kind of this big waterfall thing. Well, at night, they do this thing called the Lake of Dreams show. And so I had gone there, and I went down to the terrace bar, and I'm having a drink with a lady there and then enjoying that show. And then I'm on my way back to the car. It's a little bit before midnight, ready to head back to the condo. It's been a long day. And then that's when I get the call. My phone rings just as I'm getting to the car. I look at my phone, and I don't have a lot of reception in the parking structure, but I see that Jamar, who's one of my senior people, he trains under Master Donald, has been trying to get hold of me. And because my phone's in an out of pocket, I didn't realize it had been buzzing at me. Something happened at the dojo, which explains why Jamar's calling me at midnight. What happened? A car crashed through my dojo. The neighbors across the street, they know me. They know us. One of them, Alice, is friends with Jamar. So she got on the phone and she called Jamar and says, Jamar, something happened at your dojo. So Jamar hops in his car and he immediately drives over. And when he gets to the dojo, and that's where I'm broadcasting from right now. So if I turn my camera around, you can kind of see what it looks like. And so he calls me in Las Vegas at midnight. Now I've got Master Donald. His dad is with me, and his mom is with me. And so he's getting hold of me to tell me what happened. My storefront is destroyed. I mean, if you look at this picture, from the far right, my very first window panel got taken out. That right door got taken out. Now, the interesting thing is if you look at the window in the suite next to mine, not even cracked. They took out every single window panel, every single door, completely demolished my parent lounge, completely demolished my pro shop, smashed into that wall, and my dojo is demolished. When they hit it, glass went flying all the way to the back door. So my place is littered with glass. The wall between my suites is destroyed. The gentleman there, if you want to know who he is, that is the county building inspector. And so he's checking to see, okay, what got wiped out here? And that has been like torn out of the roof. That area there where there's just stuff on the ground, there used to be a pro shop there. That rack you see in the back there, that used to be one of my wall mounts where inventory used to hang. In fact, you can see a t-shirt kind of draped over something. That used to be one of my shirts for my inventory. Now it's littered with glass. And you can see a martial arts a wooden sword in there. So kind of a little bit of what's left of some inventory, but it's not saleable. I mean, it's been damaged. It's been infused with glass and glass powder and had oil leaked on it. But this is where the car was. And so when they pulled it out, there were fluids that came out of the car and all over my stuff. That used to be the kid lounge. Now there's glass littered all over the place, stuff strewn about. And that building inspector that was in that other picture shuts us down. We're given a restricted use where, as the owner, I'm allowed to go in there. I'm allowed to have a team in there for cleanup, but I'm shut down. That I can't do business. I'm not allowed to open for classes. And this is the deal that I'm facing. Now, I'm getting this news while I'm in Las Vegas. I'm getting some of this news right around midnight. So now I have another crisis back home. We're not done with the Sarah situation. That 6 days after I'm getting the news, I have a funeral to do. I'm still talking to family. And by the way, I'm talking to family about the crisis in their family. None of this dojo damage stuff is at all relevant to what they're going through. So when I'm doing the coaching and the counseling with people who aren't dojo people, they don't know. And frankly, they don't care. They've got bigger things going on. So now I have two crises going on back home. Sunday morning, I have a 7 a.m. breakfast date with one of my Las Vegas friends and a noon lunch date with one of the masters from the convention. And I could get packed up. I could get loaded up in between breakfast and lunch and be on my way back home as soon as I'm done with my lunch with Master Rondi. That would be the sane thing to do. Everybody I know who runs a business says, oh my gosh, I guess you have to leave early. You know, it's okay. We understand. But Ohana goes both ways. My dojo Ohana already knows they can lean on me. And when I got the call, they were already doing that with the news about Sarah. And now they see that I need them. Now, I'm not getting on the phone and calling everybody. I've got Jamar on site. Jamar is the gentleman in the upper picture. I've got Gabby on site. Gabby is the lady in the lower picture. Gabby, I called. She's one of my black belts. She's my black belt who lives closest to the place. And I called her and asked her, can you go down to the dojo and see what's going on? And when her father and her brother heard there was something going on, because, you know, she's telling them she's heading out at midnight, there's something going on at the dojo. And so they said, oh, you know, we'll be there. And so they come down to the dojo too. Because for dad, it's like, my daughter has been training here for 6 years. My son trained there for years. This is like a second home to them. And her brother, who hasn't trained with me for 3 years, his reaction was, something happened at the dojo. That's like a second home to me. And so he heads down. And that's the mess we've got. So I have Ohana. I'm not just being Ohana, I have Ohana. For many people, the dojo is an oasis. They come to the dojo because they feel better when they're at the dojo. They can walk in and relax. People who have only trained for a couple of months will still come visit. People will come hang out. That they know that there's rules here, and that people aren't allowed to tease people. People aren't allowed to be mean to people. We don't do negative humor people. We don't do judging people here. And that the culture that we have here is one where you can drop your guard. You don't have enemies here. You don't have rumor mongers here. It's a place of harmony where there may periodically be disagreements, but we handle the disagreements in a harmonious way. That there may periodically be things that we don't get, and occasionally emotion may flare, but we don't do it in a judging way. We keep the issue. Many people come here to learn assertiveness, and they know there's a forward, they know there's a purpose, and they know there is respect for others. They learn nobility, our highest and best selves, that the metaphor of being a royal knight. And they learn aloha, that special kind of aloha love, that ohana love, that makes us all important to one another as whole people. So what happens?
Workers at Ohana Studio in Spring Valley were busy cleaning up today after a car smashed into their building. The California Highway Patrol says that crash happened just before 11 o'clock in the 10,000 block of Austin Drive, and the driver took out a street sign and a pole in the process. The driver and his passenger were both hurt and taken to Mercy Hospital. Fortunately, the studio was not open for business when that crash happened. It is expensive, but we're still going to manage our classes. We have another place where we're going to relocate for a little bit until it gets fixed. We've never missed a class in 27 years, so we don't plan to now. CHP says an argument may have started between the driver and the passenger prior to that accident. CHP is still investigating and has not determined whether alcohol or drugs played a role.
So that's what happens. Part of what happened for the accident, it turns out a young 18-year-old couple was coming down the street, and they were just having a rip-roaring argument. Whatever the nature of their argument was, the woman who was sitting in the passenger reached across and grabbed the steering wheel and yanked the steering wheel as they were coming down the hill. They hit the corner. They took out the street sign. Now, there's this walkway between the bushes, and they careened off of a tree, and they shredded off some of the bark of the tree, so you can see what happened there. Came down the walkway, across the entry drive. They hit the guard post at the fire hydrant, and they spun out and crashed into my storefront and only my storefront and took out the entire storefront. As news got out, without being asked, up to a dozen people showed up at the dojo to help. People were seeing it posted on Facebook. People were seeing it posted on Instagram. People were seeing when they saw the news clip. And I had the mom of one of my yellow belts. Now, this means that this kid's only been training with me since maybe November or December. The mom shows up, and she invests the entire day helping. I have students who I haven't seen for years that, oh my gosh, that's the dojo. And they show up and offer to help. I have a one young man, he came with his friends. His friends found, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened at your dojo? They still consider it his dojo, even though he hasn't trained here for years, and he only trained for a couple of months. He never even got a single belt advancement. But he considers this part of his family. And he still comes and visits sometime and comes and hangs out with us sometimes. And people just started showing up. People are going to their parents saying, I just found out something happened to the dojo. We have to go help. And as news got out, they started to converge on the dojo. Now, keep in mind, I am out of town. I'm gone. And this is starting to happen while I'm having the breakfast meeting and I'm having my lunch meeting. And this is what comes together. This is the next afternoon. By the time I'm finishing up with lunch, I've got people in San Diego telling me, you don't need to come home. You stay on vacation. You're scheduled to stay until Tuesday. Stay until Tuesday. One person messaged me and said, don't you dare come home. There's nothing you can do that we're not taking care of already. You don't need to be here. You stay there. Now, these aren't employees. These aren't people that are on my payroll. These aren't people that work for me. These aren't people who are showing up in order to get paid their income check. We hope we'll be able to compensate them, but that'll be through having a party and extra stuff going on later. And they just come out of the woodwork to show up to help without me calling them. I'm out of town. And they just start showing up. By nightfall, everything short of boarding the place up has been handled. And Master Donald and his wife have shown up. They were actually in Las Vegas with me. They had gotten the news through their son, and they left Las Vegas at 5 o'clock in the morning to be back here before noon. Because they were planning on coming back on Sunday anyway. I was staying until Tuesday because I still had more people to see. And so they've come here, and they're taking care of stuff. And it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I've got 3 people who are ready to come spend the night because everything's opened up. That's wide open, that whole front section. And so I've got 3 people ready to spend the night to be overnight security. And while I'm talking to Donald, we're on a video chat, and he's telling me, he's like, I wish we could get the place boarded up. We would do this if we had a truck. We don't have a truck for lumber. And while he's telling me he doesn't have a truck for lumber, and if they could get the lumber, they would go get it, behind him I see Richard, one of our dads, has shown up, who drives a big truck. And he hears, oh, you need a truck. And so at 9 o'clock at night, Richard and Donald are on the way to Lowe's to go pick up lumber. And up until midnight, Richard's here working, Donald's here working. I've got Scott and Jesse and Seth are here doing their carpentry. And by midnight, this is done too. Now, these pictures were clearly taken during the daytime. But by midnight, about 24 hours after I got the call, I'm still in Las Vegas, and this has happened. Without me calling people to make it happen. Without me getting the word out that I need help. Who can help? The only person I called was Gabby to go down and take a look for me. And she took care of this. And the students converging on the dojo took care of this. The families of students showed up to take care of this. People who haven't been active students for 2 and 3 years showed up and they took care of this. And 24 hours after someone rammed their car through my dojo, it's cleaned up and it's boarded up. Now, I've been told to stay in Las Vegas. We've got it, they said. That was the common thing. We've got it. Combined with one, don't you dare come back. So I stayed. I had 3 more days left on my vacation. I saw sights. I guest taught at a friend's dojo. It was on Tuesday. I was guest teaching. I met with the people that I meant to meet with. I headed home on my original schedule on Tuesday evening. And in fact, I even had my traditional on the way home from Vegas meal. That my tradition is I always go to In-N-Out Burger on my way home. And I even had my traditional on my way home from Vegas meal. And after I got back, I took over. So my first days back, I took over. I met with Sarah's family. That was a hard 3 hours. I did her funeral, and we had a beautiful memorial for her. I resumed all of my normal duties, and I got us opened up again. The restriction was lifted. Now this is an interesting story, too. This is how the Ohana even affected this. The restriction was lifted because the building inspector who I had called was going to have to come take a look. We're going to have to make sure that everything's cleaned up, everything looks safe, everything's boarded up. 10 days after being shut down, the building inspector calls me. And the building inspector says, I was there. I saw how your people showed up. I saw how much they care. And I can tell from that how much you must care about them. And I know you would not call me to have me come do an inspection again to open the place up if it wasn't going to be safe for your people. So if you tell me it's safe, I'll take your word for it that you're taking care of your people. You can go take the sign down and you're approved to be open. I'll do a drive-by sometime at my convenience just so I can check the things off on the box, but you can go ahead and you can take that sign down now and open up on your word alone. That was part of the impact of the Ohana showing up. This building inspector saw them show up when he was here inspecting. He saw the news clip. He saw how people showed up the next day. He saw the interview on how we hadn't missed a class for 27 years, and we didn't. That even when we had the dojo shut down, we've met on the grass. We've met in parking lots. We didn't meet in this parking lot because it was showered with glass. But we've met on lawns. In the past, we've met in parks. We've even met in people's living rooms that was cleared out of furniture. We've met in people's backyards. We have managed to never, ever cancel a class for any other reason other than students aren't showing up or holiday scheduled things. There's never been a time a student has shown up for a scheduled class and there hasn't been class. Not due to an illness, not due to a blackout, nothing. We've had classes where we had cars turned on and headlights shining in so that we could train. And now we had a car crash through our dojo. We got shut down by the government. And my students know, the Ohana knows, I will not miss a class with you if there's a way and a place we can still do class. Now the drama's not over yet. We got the police report. According to the police report, the driver was cited for not having insurance. So that's a problem. It significantly complicates things. The entire dojo Ohana knows this. And they continue to be understanding. They continue to be helpful. The place is boarded up. There's still a mess. Things aren't set up 100%. They're not working 100%. But they continue to be understanding. They continue to be helpful. They continue to show up and pay their fees. In fact, that was one of the most impressive things is my first day back in town, I have students going out of the way, parents going out of the way to come pay their fees for the month. To say, like, we know you're going to need this and you're going to need this fast. We want to make sure you get your money as fast as possible. No one was asking for discounts because of the mess. No one was asking for discounts because of the inconvenience. Now, because of the lack of insurance, I filed a lawsuit. With some luck, the other parties will be served within a week and find an appropriate insurance company. And my personal goal is that the repairs might actually be done by September 24th. That's my 52nd birthday. That'd be a nice birthday present. And so we'll see. So I've had to file the lawsuit because there's no insurance company. I wrote a letter to the other side, just tell your insurance to get hold of me. Haven't heard from anybody. So now we're doing this. The landlord's insurance has been here to take a look. They say they're secondary, that get hold of the other insurance first, which I'm having to use a lawsuit to do, and I'm keeping them in the loop. And if for whatever reason no other insurance company shows up, the landlord's insurance will fix the storefront, they'll fix the wall, but they won't do anything for the contents. The tens of thousands of dollars of contents would just be lost. So if they have vehicle insurance, if there's a homeowner's policy, if there's a renter's policy, the driver may not have been insured, but there's a separate vehicle owner. If they have insurance that covers them from another vehicle, that might step in. So there's a number of places a policy might be. But by filing the lawsuit, I put it on them. Okay, you guys find the insurance company that will cover this and have them get hold of me. And so the adventure continues. Where will it ultimately land? We had the car We have the mess going on with the dojo. We have Sarah, and most people are past it enough that they haven't really needed much in the way of counseling. I'm still working with her family. Her mother, in particular, and I have been talking recently because getting over the death of your daughter is hard. And she was 22 years old. And we're getting things going again. We've got a lot of support from our family, support from the community. We've got people who want to see us continue. So it's the Dojo Ohana. We don't know what things will look like. We don't know how we're going to get things fixed. We don't know what we'll be able to put together for our new parent lounge. We don't know what we'll be able to do for our new kid lounge. We don't know what we'll be able to do for our pro shop, our library, entertainment nook, and more. We don't know. But we do know this. We're doing it as Ohana. And somehow, whether the practical stuff comes together or not, my leaders know, my students know that we are family. I treat them as family, they treat me as family. They can train, they can quit training, and they're always welcome to come back and visit. I'm always invited into their lives, they're always invited into mine. That we're friendly around here. And that's part of the Ohana way. This kind of culture isn't something you can toss together when you need it. When you need it, it must already be there. When they need you, you can always step up. But if you don't already have an Ohana culture, it will not occur to them to come to you. So whether you might need them or they might need you, it must already be there. There must already be enough relationship, enough connection, so that you're more than just a business. Or in my case, more than just a credit school, more than just a lawyer, more than just whatever your role is in their life. Now, you can be friendly without really being a friend. I mean, most of my students, frankly, I don't know a lot about what goes on in their life. We don't get personal. We don't get into like the intimate behind the scenes detail of their life that they might do with their best friend. But it's a kind of friendly that is within the context of our roles, that we step beyond the roles as person to person. And whatever they feel like they would like to step beyond, that we can. That I don't block it out to business and only business. I'm not just business polite. That I'm friendly. And they're friendly with me. And it allows our relationship to go beyond business to business customer, business to client, and it lets it be something beyond that. And it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't. This story that happened in my business has been a business version of Ohana through some very difficult trials. The Ohana way can be used in any relationship, in any group. In business, connecting with your clients and customers, connecting with your coworkers. They're talking about, I mean, this is a dojo version, but my dad had his auto dealership version, where he's doing the Ohana way with his staff, who consider themselves part of the Conway family, with a lot of the Conway values. Amongst his clients and his customers that bought cars from him, some small percentage of them also consider themselves part of the Conway family. They wouldn't go buy a car anywhere else because they know if you go to Conway, he'll take care of you. And so my dad did some of this in the car business. My stepfather did some of this. He was in the insurance business. He was a State Farm agent for 20 some odd years. And some of his clients saw him as not just the agent, he was Craig. And they could talk to him about stuff related to their insurance. They would have discussions about like larger family issues and how that might impact things. And they came to trust him that Craig's not going to try to sell us a policy that will not serve us. And if he's trying to sell us a bigger policy, it's because we legitimately need the bigger policy. And he's not just going to make us do it all by ourselves, that if we feel like we need help, he will help us. And so he was part of the Ohana. So this isn't just, well, he can do that because that's a dojo. I run a more conventional business than that. My dad did it in the car business. My stepfather did it in the insurance business. And so you can do stuff like this with your team is relatively easy. And with some percentage of your employees, you remember that they're people and that they're whole people and that they have whole lives. They're not just money coming in, they're people. And depending upon the nature of your work, like when I'm working as a lawyer for someone, one of the things I keep in mind is, some of the stuff is everyday stuff to me. I look at a stack of legal documents and I go, more paperwork to fill out. But the average person looks at legal documents and says, oh my God, that's legal paperwork. And even though it's old hat to me, I still remember, if this is the first time someone's been through this is scary. This is like the biggest thing they've ever had. And so I come to them as whole people. Not like, oh, come on, this is just regular stuff. Just leave me alone. I've got it. I deal with them as whole people. So I do that as a lawyer, too. You can do this in your church group. You can do this in your family, where your family can know, okay, here, this is Ohana. Here, this is an oasis. Here, there are no enemies in this house. And with friends, and with the friends of your family, when all of the neighbor kids, all of the extended kids come over to the Conway house, they know there's Ohana rules here and that they play by the Ohana rules. And you can do this with romantic partnerships. I mean, imagine if you have a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or something more serious than that, or something committed like a marriage, and you know that your spouse, your partner, is your Ohana. You know that when I'm with my partner, I can drop my guard. I don't have to put up my guard. I don't have to be ready to be defensive. That this is a place I can relax. This is a place where there's harmony, where we don't have to be the same. We can disagree. We can have different opinions, but we will do it in a way where we still get along and where we will be assertive and never aggressive, where there will be nobility, our highest, our best, not our lowest and our worst. And that there will be aloha, there will be love, that there will be the wanting the best for each other, wanting to be the best for each other, wanting each other to have joy. So you can start with the basics of Ohana. Even just one thing. You can even start with the very basics of, okay, Ohana means family. How can I make this more whole person to whole person? It's oasis. Okay, how can I make this a safe place that when my customers walk in, instead of like getting more tense, they know they can relax? And certainly as a lawyer, when people are dealing with legal stuff, oh my gosh, it's legal stuff. Oh, Scott will help. And they feel like they can relax. Or starting with harmony, starting with assertiveness, starting with nobility, starting with aloha. And that's just the base. If you have the blue-green version of the book, that's the short version that just covers family, oasis, harmony, assertiveness, nobility, and aloha. The red version of the book, that's the thicker version of the book. There's 25 extra chapters in that book. So you're going, oh yeah, I've got those 6 basic things: Ohana is family, and oasis, harmony, assertiveness, nobility, aloha. Yeah, we've got that. We're done. Well, there's 25 more chapters in the red version of the book. So keep going. Keep going, just one thing at a time. Keep going and build Ohana. And you will find that when people start to see you as more than just a business, it doesn't matter if the business down the way charges a little less. It doesn't matter if that new place around the corner has some cool stuff. You're their Ohana. And they're not going to leave their Ohana because there's an emotional connection that means something to them. That it's not just the business. You're not just the lawyer. You're not just the karate teacher. That there's more here for them. That they feel better doing business with you. They don't come to you because you're the cheapest. They don't come to you because you have all the newest gadgets. They don't even necessarily come to you because you're the best at what you do. I mean, when it comes to legal stuff, yeah, I'm pretty average for a lawyer. If you stack me up against any of the bigger law firms downtown, they're going to blow me away. If you stack me up against other solo practitioners, yeah, I'm probably pretty average. But most lawyers who have trained in my specialty, they probably know pretty much what I know. And all of us can look up all the same stuff. But the people who come to me because they trust me beyond the legal expertise. So you can be Ohana. Now, they may not know even that's what you're doing. My karate students do because I give them a copy of the book. And so they can see this is what we're building. This is our behavioral expectations of our people. And that we give you about a year to kind of get inculcated to it. So you don't have to like nail it right away. But this is what we're aiming at. And so they see that and they go, oh, I want to be a part of that. So you can do it that overtly. And I do that just in the dojo. But with the other things I do, I don't do it that overt. I just be Ohana. And I be a whole person, showing up with a whole life, with the part that is relevant to the lesson at hand. Like this one. And when Ohana goes through trials together, Ohana rallies and they show themselves as family. And when Ohana rallies and shows themselves family, they will stick together. Now think about what I've got just from a business perspective. Even the people who didn't even know the accident took place, when they showed up for class, because we were closed at the time, when they showed up for class, they go, oh my God, what happened? And they hear the story. Just from a business perspective, we're not even talking about the value of Ohana as Ohana. Well, right now, we're not even talking about the value of Ohana as person to person, life to life. This is the business value. Imagine you're just nothing but a client. And you show up and you hear this story. And you hear how people who haven't trained here for years, but are connected to the place, that they rallied and they showed up. What kind of opinion does that create for you of this place? Think about the opinion it created in the county building inspector. That he was willing to remove the restriction and open up the physical location to resume business inside on my word alone because he saw how my people responded, how non-employees showed up to do things. He saw the newscast. He saw Gabby being interviewed, and you know, she's the one who showed up to take a look at things when he was here. And just from a business perspective, the reputation that creates for me in the community. And so even if your primary motivation in all business things is, well, I don't see how that helps me do business. Imagine what that does for my reputation. So that's the Ohana way, shaping the culture of community. The things that have to already be in place. And that's how it showed up with me for Sarah and for me with the crash into the dojo, both while I'm out of town. That my people know just because I'm out of town, if you need me, I can still be there for you in whatever way I can be there for you from 350 miles away. And for them to show up and say, the dojo needs us. And they show up for the dojo while I'm 350 miles away. I'm not on the phone making the call saying, oh my gosh, can you go help? Oh, can you go help? Let me get out my list of where all my students are, call them up and have them go help. They just show up. They see the dojo needed help and they just showed up. I probably could have gotten 20 or 30 people here had I made all the calls. But then I had a crew of a dozen people putting in a day just because they saw there was a need. And when you build an Ohana culture, these are the kind of things that can happen. But in particular, even just from a mercenary perspective, even if I'm doing it for no reason other than, well, what's in it for me? How is it going to help me make money? Think about the impact my business has reputation-wise in the community, because people knows it. If this is the way his customers respond, if this is the way his students respond to the place, this might be a place worth checking out. And I've had new people show up and enroll because they've heard about us now. They've seen the places boarded up. They want to find out if we're open. I had 2 new students just start this last Monday. It's amazing. That's not why I do it, but just the impact that it has when you do it is amazing. And in this time of crisis, this just shows a crisis version of it. Doesn't even show the day-to-day version of it. But you can see how powerful it is and how people have responded to my Ohana that I created. And part of this hopefully also illustrates that I don't just write the book and teach the seminars. I do this in my work too. And that we've got the Ohana going on in my school, the Ohana going on in most of the work that I do. So I hope that this has been insightful, illuminating, illustrative of the power of building a culture of community amongst your employees, amongst your clientele, so that they feel like you're not just a business, that you're not just a product, you're not just a service, and that they get connected to you, and that being your client, being your customer, being your student means more to them than just the price and the product, because they like the people too. So that is this week's lesson on the Ohana Way. With any luck, by October, I'll be able to give you an update that everything's been fixed. I hope I get to give you that update. But you can see how my Ohana shows up to help me in the middle of a crisis, and how I show up to help them in the middle of a crisis beyond the scope of our normal business relationship. So thank you for listening. I hope this is impactful and can help you in your work. The Ohana Way is, of course, taught in our regular seminars. The books are available, and dive in as deep as you like. Just take it one thing at a time and build from there. Thank you.